God, you're right. The air at the Tregennises was awful. The doctor felt ill, and so did the housekeeper.
And so did the vicar's maid, and so did I, even hours afterwards, and with the windows open. Oh, you were most solicitous about my cough, and the final similarity. Combustion going on in the room. The Tregennis family had a fire.
And the vicarage had a lamp. Of course.
Some substance was burned in each case. Something placed in the fire and on the lamp. Brenda Tregennis was sitting right next to the fireplace.
And she died. Her brothers were less affected.
Mortimer Tregennis was sitting not a foot from the lamp. And he, too, died.
It really is devilish. What can this substance be?
It's this.
Where did you get that?
From the smoke guard on Mortimer Tregennis's lamp. There were ashes in the middle and these unburnt crystals around the edge. I took half.
Half?
Well, it's not for me to stand in the way of the official police force. The poison was there, if they had the wit to find it.
Those appalling symptoms from just a tiny handful of crystals. It's hard to credit.
There is one final test we can make.
Yes, there is.
We must light the lamp.
And burn the crystals.
Exactly. We will, however, take some precautions. The window's already open, and we'll have the door ajar as well. Now, Watson, if you'll sit just here, near the window, unless, of course, well, like a sensible man, you'll have nothing to do with this.
If I say no, you'll do it alone, won't you?
It's necessary.
Then we'll see it out together.
I thought I knew my Watson. Now, if you'll refill the lamp.
Certainly.
Yes, now my chair goes here. Yes, so we'll be facing each other.
And at the slightest sign...
Oh, or at least when the symptoms seem alarming.
The slightest sign, Holmes. Then either one of us must bring this experiment to an end.
Well, with the window and the door open, we should have ample warning. Now, I'll light the lamp. Yes, now you take your seat, Doctor. Very well. Are you ready?
Ready?
So be it.
So let us die and never part.
Together for the rest of time.
No more waiting.
No more fearing. Nameless, endless, loving, sharing.
Oh, thank God. Holmes? Can you hear me? Holmes! Awesome! Holmes!
You pulled me out. You pulled me out of it.
I did.
I owe you my thanks. And an apology. Oh, it was an unjustifiable experiment. Even for myself. For a friend, I really am. I'm very sorry.
You know that it's my greatest joy and privilege to help you.
It would be superfluous to drive us mad, my dear Watson. A candid observer would certainly declare that we were mad already.
How are you feeling?
I'll never again question your judgment where natural remedies are concerned. I've recovered enough for a short walk, I think.
A walk? Are you sure?
Quite sure. Come on. Let's go together.
Are you sure about this?
Absolutely sure.
I do not receive visitors.
You'll receive us. It's as well that we talk here, in private, where there can be no eavesdropping.
What can there be to talk about that requires such privacy?
I think you know that.
I've lived so long among savages and beyond the law that I've got into the way of being a law unto myself. You'll do well not to forget it. I've no desire to do you an injury.
Nor are you, Dr. Sterndale, which is why I've come here and not to the police.
What do you mean?
You know perfectly well what I mean. And my next step depends entirely on the nature of your defense.
My defense? My defense against what?
Against the charge of killing Mortimer Tregennis.
Do all your successes depend on this sort of bluffing?
I depend only on the truth, sir. The facts. Facts such as your return from Plymouth.
I came back to assist in the inquiries.
Your reasons, they're unconvincing and inadequate. Facts such as your subsequent actions. After I refused to tell you my suspicions, you went to the vicarage. You waited outside it for some time and only then returned to your cottage.
How do you know that?
I followed you.
I saw no one.
That is what you may expect to see when I follow you. You spent a restless night at your cottage and you formed certain plans. Just before daybreak, you left by the front door, grabbing a handful of gravel from the pile heaped by your gate.
Oh, this is ridiculous.
You walked swiftly to the vicarage. Once there, you passed through the orchard and along by the side hedge until you were under Mortimer Tregennis's bedroom. It was just daylight, but no one was awake. You took some of the gravel and threw it at the window. It took 3 handfuls before he opened it and looked down.
You are the devil himself.
Thank you for the compliment.
Who's there? What do you want?
Come down here, Tregennis. Unless you want me to bring you down.
Wait there.
He dressed hurriedly and came down to his sitting room. You entered by the window. There was an interview, a short one, during which you walked rapidly up and down.
You weren't there. No one was
You
there.
lit the lamp and added the crystals. Then you went out the same way you'd entered. Your final act was to smoke a cigar and stand by the window, watching what was happening inside. Then you left.
I told him that if he moved an inch from the table, I'd shoot him. But he didn't move. He was paralyzed at the sight of my revolver. Paralyzed with fear.
For God's sake, man, why? Why?
This is why.
Brenda Tregennis.
But it doesn't make sense. Her brother had to die because you'd already killed her.
I didn't kill her. I didn't kill her. He did.
Good God above.
His plan was to kill all 3 of them, and then the grieving brother would reluctantly inherit the estate.
He killed her for money. For money and for property. Stupid, empty, meaningless things. For years I've loved Brenda Tregennis. For years she's loved me. People have marvelled that I buried myself away in this place. Yes, well, now you know why. It held the one thing on earth that was dear to me.
Why did you never marry?
I am married. To a wife who left me years ago and whom, by the deplorable laws of England, I could not divorce.
And so you waited?
Yes, both of us waited. And this is what we've waited for.
The vicar knew, of course, hence his telegram to you in Plymouth.
What was Africa to me then? It was Africa that made her death so unspeakable.
The poison.
Look at this. I understand that you're a doctor, sir.
Yes, I am.
Have you ever heard of this?
Radix pedis diaboli. Devil's foot root. No, never. Holmes?
No.
Well, it's no reflection on you. I believe there's no other sample in Europe. The root itself is shaped like a cloven hoof. These crystals, well, I think you know what they do. It's used as an ordeal poison by a tribe in Western Africa.
How in the world did Tregennis know about it?
I told him. Well, for Brenda's sake, I was friendly with her brothers. I told him what it could do, and I showed him where I kept it. And when my back was turned, Mortimer Tregennis was a sly, subtle, scheming man. Only such a man could plan such a crime.
As he left the sitting room, he passed the fireplace. It must have been the work of a second.
And all that business about seeing someone outside the house? Lies.
As false as his tears, all designed to divert our suspicion.
He couldn't divert me. When I heard the details, I'd told no one else about the crystals. I knew at once who was responsible, and why, and what his punishment must be.
Why didn't you go to the police? Tell them what you knew.
My soul cried out for revenge. What he did to my love, it had to be done to him. Nothing else would be just.
You stood and watched him die.
Oh, my God, how he died. But my heart was flint. There's my story, gentlemen. You can take what steps you like. In all England, there's no man who sets less value on his life than I do.
What were your plans?
I had intended to bury myself in Central Africa. My work there's only half done.
Go and do the other half.
The best medicine in the world.
Save possibly for work.
Perhaps.
You wouldn't denounce the man?
Certainly not.
Quite so. I have never loved Watson. But if I did, and if the woman I loved had met such an end, I might act even as our lawless lion hunter has done. Who knows?
In The Devil's Foot, Sherlock Holmes was played by Clive Merrison and Dr. Watson by Michael Williams, with Patrick Allen as Dr. Leon Sterndale, Geoffrey Beavers as the Reverend Roundhay, and Sean Arnold as Mortimer Tregennis. Brenda Tregennis was played by Diana Payan, Owen Tregennis by David Thorpe, George Tregennis by Colin Pinney, and Dr. Richards by Barry J. Gordon. The violinist was Leonard Friedman. The Devil's Foot was dramatized for radio by Bert Coules and directed by Patrick Rayner.